Good morning. It's very rare that I say morning, but my mother changed her schedule, so now we have to get up earlier because she has to go to work earlier. So the show will be earlier. It is very cold out there today, so I thank anyone who's watching for staying warm and comfy under the covers and watching my show. To start off, let's talk about some local news that I found really interesting. A local boy saved his family from disaster. A Rochester teenager was the only person awake over the weekend and was able to spot a fire in the bathroom ceiling and alert the rest of his family before disaster struck. The 13-year-old is autistic and therefore was up at 6 a.m. while the rest of his family was still asleep. Many autistic kids are up early in the morning due to their heightened alertness to their surroundings. While playing in his room, he noticed something odd in the bathroom and quickly discovered it was smoke coming from the ceiling. He quickly alerted his father, who was able to knock it down and prevent it from spreading. This heroic act got him high fives from the fire chief, who responded to the fire, as well as WMUR reporter Adam Sexton, who covered the story. The fire chief even said on camera that if it had only been a few more minutes, that house could potentially have gone up in flames, and the family could have been still inside. His mother spoke on camera with Adam and said she is very proud of what her son did for his family and considers him a hero. This story will hopefully prove that autistic kids are still able to do normal things, depending on where in the varying spectrum they land. Someone like this 13-year-old is on a more functioning spectrum, where they talk fairly normally and in complete sentences. Then there are children like my nephew who are more in the middle of the road, who can't talk in full sentences except simple sentences like "I want milk" or "I want to use your phone to make videos," which is his current line to his mother because she just got a smartphone. As far as talking your ear off after school about what he did all day, my nephew can't do that yet. There are also autistic children that are very high on the spectrum and can't talk at all, but rather just rock back and forth and make noises. Some are even wheelchair bound because they lash out at random moments. So there's your crash course in autism if you've never experienced autism before. Next, we'll move on to some TV news. There's a few new announcements. NBC has renewed Parks and Recreation for another season. An E! Entertainment show may potentially be canceled. Keeping Up with the Kardashians is in danger of being canceled due to decreased ratings and the fact that they've been on the controversy roster due to the recent breakup of power figures Kris and Bruce Jenner. An official announcement will be made later in the season. Little announcement for this show. Starting next week, I got the idea to feature one cold case in each episode from all the states and not just New England, just to keep their story alive. Next week, I will feature a cold case from Alabama. My hope is that somewhere on my friends list and watchers, someone just might know something based on the limited details I gave, which is mainly what's available online. And hopefully some of these cases can be solved and their families put to rest. It bugs me a lot that so many cold cases exist, and sadly, New Hampshire has the highest number of cold cases in New England. Many of the cases in New Hampshire are from the 50s and 60s when technology wasn't the way it is today, and a lot of evidence was not properly collected, or the strength of the tests we have today to do DNA and such were non-existent then. Thankfully, a few New Hampshire cases have been solved in the past few years, but it didn't make a very large dent in the long list of cases. It's been a while since I did a movie review, and I finally have one for you. It took me 3 days to finish it because I have a schedule at night where I read for a certain amount of time and I watch a TV or a movie for a certain amount of time before I go to sleep. And this movie is called For the Love of Grace. It came out in 2008. This movie I found quite by accident, searching for movies involving firefighters other than your typical Ladder 49, Fireproof, etc., etc. This movie is excellent. It's a very Christian-based movie that was made in Canada and is available on Hulu as a free movie. I'm not sure about libraries or anything like that. You might be able to find it. I'm just not sure. You'll have to look at it. It is about a firefighter who loses his wife in an accident and temporarily leaves the fire department to heal. When a young writer named Grace's house lights on fire accidentally as the firefighter is walking by, and saves her life. Their relationship grows despite the fact that Grace is engaged to be married. However, she eventually realizes that he is not the right one for her, but the firefighter is. In the very end of the movie, the firefighter and his brother attempt to stop the wedding, not knowing that Grace already stopped her own wedding. The movie ends just as I suspected, that Steve, which is the firefighter, and Grace riding off together the way it should be. I absolutely love this movie because it shows that sometimes you may think you found the right one, and then an experience like a fire can change your life and complete you of it. After the fire, Grace started hanging out with the firemen at the station, got an idea for a new book, and actually ditched a sequel to her last best-selling book to write it. A cookbook filled with stories and recipes from the firefighters, with half of the money she makes from the book being donated to the homeless shelter food pantry, which both Steve and her volunteer at, in dire need of an upgrade. If you like romance movies or are just into real-life love stories that will make you smile, or firefighters, watch this movie. No TV show reviews or book reviews this week. I haven't really been reading much. And nothing good in the restaurant section. I haven't been out to eat lately. I'm trying to be good this year, but I promise you I will have some, hopefully. Next, I want to do an organization shout-out. Last week, I mentioned in my show the author Maureen Hancock, a Catholic who is gifted and able to bring healing and peace to grieving families. One thing I forgot to mention is that she is very involved in a special organization called Mission for the Missing. Mission for the Missing is based in Boston, Massachusetts, and deals with missing children and young adults all throughout New England. Maureen is called upon to use her gifts to connect with the energies of missing children, and has also been connected to missing children who actually have been deceased, such as in one case when the spirit tells her, "I'm by the wires." Sure enough, when authorities went there, they found bones that they were almost certain belonged to the missing teen. They are still waiting for DNA confirmation, but chances are that it belongs to that missing person they were looking for. You can visit missionforthemissing.com to check on the current listing of cases they're working on, although the website itself may be outdated. They also have a Facebook page, which is definitely more up-to-date, with people posting pictures of missing people and any information they may have. Each year, I pick a charity or organization to adopt for the year. I pray for them and success in what they do, as well as host a Bonko Night fundraiser with all the money going to that group or charities. And this year, I've chosen Mission for the Missing. Stay tuned for more information on how to donate and when the Bonko Night will be. In Reflection Corner, our reading is from 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. Apparently we're in Samuel lately. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you grieve over Saul, seeing I have rejected him from being king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil, and go. I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided for myself a king among his sons." And Samuel said, "How can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me." And the Lord said, "Take a heifer with you, and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. And invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. And you shall anoint for me him whom I name to you." Samuel did what the Lord commanded, and came to Bethlehem. The elders of the city came to meet him trembling, and said, "Do you come peacefully?" And he said, "Peaceably I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Consecrate yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice." And he consecrated Jesse and his sons, and invited them to the sacrifice. When they came, he looked on Eliab, and thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed is before him." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look on his appearance, or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart." Then Jesse called Abinab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, "Neither has the Lord chosen this one." Then Jesse made Shammah pass by, and he said, "Neither hath the Lord chosen this one." And Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. And Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen these." And Samuel said to Jesse, Are all your sons here?" And he said, "There remains yet the youngest, but behold, he is keeping the sheep." And Samuel said to Jesse, "Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he comes here." And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and had beautiful eyes, and was handsome. And the Lord said, "Arise, anoint him, for this is he." Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon David from that day forward. And Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. Our psalm for this week is Psalm 89, verses 20 to 22 and 27 to 28. And I will get to you in a moment once I take a sip of water because my voice is cracking. Forever I will sing the goodness of the Lord. I have found David my servant. With my holy oil I have anointed him, so that my hand shall ever abide with him. My arm also shall strengthen him. Forever I will sing the goodness of the Lord. The enemy shall not outwit him. The wicked shall not humble him. Forever I will sing the goodness of the Lord. And I will make him the firstborn, the highest of the kings of the earth. My steadfast love I will keep for him forever, and my covenant will stand firm for him. Forever I will sing the goodness of the Lord. And your gospel today comes from Mark chapter 2, verses 23 to 28. One Sabbath he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain. And the Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he was in need and was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he entered the house of God when Abiathar was high priest and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priest to eat, and also gave it to those who were with him. And he said to them, The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath." I think the message of the gospel, this is totally not part of the script, but it just kind of clicked with me when I read that. I think the real message of that story is that everybody treats Sunday as if it's a burden. Like, oh, we can't do anything today, it's Sunday. It's Sunday, we're supposed to be relaxing, we can't do nothing. That's why a lot of men think, oh, Sunday, football. It's not. Sunday was given to us to celebrate the Son. That's why they call it Sunday. The Son of God, the Son of Man, the Son of Jesus, however you look at God. That's what we're supposed to be in our minds. And I know today, retail, someone has to run the grocery stores because, let's face it, people need to buy food. So, and the gas stations need to be mended, and the nurses need to work, and the firefighters need to work. So it's not the same as it used to be when everything was shut down on Sundays. And that's sad as it is, but, in a way, I don't really think that God wants that to happen, because he wants to see who can honor him even with the busyness of the world. Who can still make time to go to Mass even if it's early before football. Who can, hit mass before or after they go to work, or who totally just says, oh, I have to work today, so I'm not going to mass, or the Patriots are playing at 1 o'clock and I go to 11:30 only and it's not going to be done in time, so I'm not going to go to mass. It really, I think he did that on purpose, and he made the world the way it is in such a retail-oriented mind to test us and to see where our true values lie. And I know mine, I've been a little shaky lately. I've been kind of, oh, it's too cold to go walk to church, or it's too this, or I'm tired, or I'm sick, or which I have been. Or, ooh, skating is on, or, ooh, this show I need to see, or, and I'm hoping to work on that a little bit as the weather gets better, because I do go to a specific mass because that's what works with my schedule, which I, unfortunately, cannot do anything about because of the situation that I'm with. Many people say I could change that situation, but I just can't see a way to do it without hurting anybody in the process. And I don't mean hurting like physically. I mean hurting like I don't want my nephew to suffer. I don't want my sister to have to quit her job, that kind of stuff. Because, let's face it, she needs the money just as much as anybody else does. So that's why I have a specific mass that I go to. But, that's why I occasionally watch it on TV, and that kind of, it doesn't fulfill it, but you're still taking that half hour to meditate or to go to mass in your mind and watch it on TV. So you're still kind of there in spirit, which counts for something. So that's my reflection on the gospel, and I hope it's something I said made sense to you. And I'd love to see some comments on some of these episodes, these newer ones, because nobody really comments, and I know I've got watchers out there. So I'm hoping that someone will just comment on something. I'm not expecting you to start a full-blown discussion, but just like, even if it's good show or nice job or, oh, I like how you said this, or anything, just to see that I can see that you're actually watching and you're not just saying that you're watching just to shut me up or to make me feel better. Because I really, really want to see this show grow. This is kind of like my audition tape for future, for when I do news anchoring and get into the journalism aspect of it. So, or possibly TV show host. So please just help me out and become more active. So if by any chance this video or any of my episodes from here on out gets seen by somebody that happens to be a bigwig, like an ABC person or the head of WMUR might want to start a new show on their station on a weekend, or just try to be active a little bit, even if it's through Facebook. Just so people can see, oh wow, she's really drawing an audience. People are interacting with her. That's what I'm really looking for. I'm doing this all for you guys. I'm trying to add different things in each week so it's not the same boring stuff. Once Dancing with the Stars comes back in March, I'll still cover that for those of you that don't watch it on Mondays because you work or you have class or you don't have that station or you downgraded your cable or you got rid of your cable or you just keep forgetting to turn it on and you want to see who's on, or you don't like to watch it but you want to support the show. That'll be back in March, so that'll be a big piece of the show that'll always be there until it ends. But the other aspects of the show I want to expand on. So please, any ideas to make the show better? If you have a thought of, ooh, you should cover this, or ooh, what about this, or start this, or do something, just give me ideas. I will take them. I will attempt to work with them. Like I said before, the only thing I will not do is conspiracy theories, because I think that's exactly what they are, is a theory made up by somebody who really doesn't have the facts straight. So now that I rambled on, let's get to the saints of the day. There are two. One of them is relatively famous, or not famous, but well known, and then the other one is not. So we will start with the lesser of the two, and it is Saint Inez de Benningham. Yeah, these saints with weird names need to stop. We'll just call her Saint Inez. How's that? Saint Inez was a nun born in 1625 in Benningham, a town near the city of Valencia in the southern Spanish province of Andalusia. Baptized Josefa Maria Tudela, she grew up in a poor family. Uneducated and illiterate, Inez began working as a servant for her uncle at an early age. She was a devout young woman who was inclined to spiritual trances and mystical insights. When Inez was about 18 years old, she refused the advances of another servant. Enraged by the rejection, the suitor tried to shoot her. The frightened girl escaped without injury and then decided to retreat to a convent at Bellingham. The monastery belonged to the Augustinians, an order founded by Augustine that stressed simplicity and poverty. Determined to start anew, Inez took the veil in 1643. Typically, a hierarchy of class existed in early monasteries. Educated women, often of noble birth, served as administrators of these communities, while lower-born women performed the necessary physical chores. Accordingly, Inez, who took the name Maria Josepha de Santa Inez, continued to work as a domestic servant. She also began experiencing visions of Jesus in her daily life. And even though she was illiterate, she mastered the Latin liturgy and was able to fully participate in chants and Mass. Inez remained cloistered in the monastery for 52 years. Known for her devotion to austerity, she strictly followed the rule of going barefoot throughout the year. Inez also became famous for her prophecies. A wise woman, she was sought out for spiritual counsel by the powerful and wealthy, as well as the poor. In her footsteps, Inez was well known for offering a spiritual and emotional solace to those who sought her out. Hello? Okay. Yep. Okay, bye. Sorry about that. That was my mother telling me that I don't have to go get her at the bus stop because somebody's giving her a ride home, which is good because, like I said before, it's cold out there. Anyway, back to the show. Fresh Start, a Phoenix, Arizona organization, continues this tradition by helping battered and displaced women. Founded in 1992 by Beverly Stewart and Pat Pesnick, two businesswomen, Fresh Start provides housing, counseling, and child care to abused women. Beverly and Pat have also been successful in winning corporate support for Fresh Start. In 2000, they persuaded the Fairmont Scottsdale Hotel to donate 120 mattresses, hundreds of pieces of china, glassware, cutlery, bed sheets, and bath towels. And they also got them to offer cooking classes to women at the shelter. The program gives battered women a chance to recover in safety and learn some skills to help them support themselves in the future. For more information about Fresh Start, you can visit their website at www.fswf.org. Like Inez, Beverly and Pat realize the importance of reaching out to the neediest in our society. Next, we have our more relatively known saint, St. Agnes, who some people say St. Ames, but it's actually Agnes. Agnes is the patroness of engaged couples, girls, victims of rape, and many others. She was born in Italy. Most of what is known about the early Christian Agnes and the miracles associated with her comes from ancient tradition and legend. It is believed that Agnes lived during the time of Roman Emperor Diocletian, who ordered a new persecution of the Christians in 303. That's how far back we're going here. Despite his edict, 13-year-old Agnes declared herself a Christian and refused to be married. Agnes repeatedly announced that her only spouse was Christ, and she offered herself to martyrdom. For this affront, the young girl was placed on trial, interrogated, and tortured. The prefect ordered her to serve the pagan gods in the temple of the Roman goddess Vesta. But even when Agnes was threatened with being burned alive, she still refused to turn against God. According to legend, the judge then cast Agnes into a brothel naked, for the pleasure of anyone who might choose to take her virginity. Some accounts say that her hair grew so long that it covered her nakedness. In the presence of this miracle, even the most libertine of the Roman onlookers were unwilling to approach her. Finally, one youth, the son of the prefect, stepped forward. Upon attempting to defile her, he was struck blind, but Agnes forgave him and his sight was restored. The prefect, enraged by these miracles, ordered her beheaded. Agnes died by the sword in what was then the Stadium of Domitian, now the Piazza Navona, where the Church of St. Agnes stands in Rome. Agnes became an extraordinarily popular saint in the Middle Ages. Although there is little factual evidence of her life, she remains one of the most potent symbols of virgin martyrdom in the Church. There's also a movie called Agnes of God that is not based on her life, but it's an adaptation. And it's basically about a nun that somehow ends up pregnant and tries to deny it, saying that, she didn't do it, she doesn't know how it happened, and the investigation turns out that she was abused. And it's just a very interesting, sad movie. You can look it up if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, I would love to hear your review of it. It's been a while since I watched it, and I don't plan to watch it again. It's just something that came to my head as I was reading the saint story. In her footsteps, when Agnes forgave the prefect's son, she helped transform a damaging act into a constructive one, and her assailant's sight was restored. Similarly, centuries later, some American and British officers who had been prisoners during World War II forgave their German captors and helped the world see their former enemies in a new light. After the end of the war, the ex-prisoners gathered regularly for reunions, and in 1965 they invited 3 of their former captors to join them: Gustav Simele, Hermann Glemitz, and Wilhelm Strangehoner. During the war, no matter how harsh the conditions had been at the camp, these 3 wardens had treated their prisoners with dignity and respect. The British and American officers wanted to forgive them publicly so that the world would know that these former captors had acted honorably. Acts of forgiveness such as these remind us that God's love can surmount even the worst situations. Our closing prayer is a contemporary prayer common with the Feast of St. Agnes. Lord, as you helped Agnes of Rome to hold her beliefs against taunts and challenges, torment and torture, grant us the strength of our faith. As you manifested in her the spirit of mercy to her tormentors, grant us wisdom and mercy that we may treat with forgiveness those who defile and defame that faith. Amen. Fan of the Week. This week's Fan of the Week is Jason Smith, a good friend of mine. He's been Fan of the Week a few times in 2013, and this is his first of the new year. Jason is a very supportive friend who always attempts to comment on my episodes, if not publicly, at least by talking to me about them. He, like many, has his own personal opinions on some of the topics I cover, like Dancing with the Stars, and most recently the whole mediumship witness. We named it witness to make it a better Catholic-sounding word. Gifts that I've been mentioning with the books I've been reading, but he puts up with them and enjoys the show anyway. This week's answer was Aliens, which allegedly is a spooky movie that came out in 1986. I have never watched it, nor do I plan to watch it, but that was the answer to the question. And next week's question will be posted on Sunday. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.